Hey guys, it's Marissa from Grow in the Flow, and I'm coming in here on Wednesday, day 7 of 7 for our Planetary Days of the Week series. This has been so fun. I'm sad to see it go. I hope you've been enjoying it as well. Now, if you're just joining us or if you missed any of the previous days, no worries. You can certainly catch up. If you're coming from our Facebook group, we have all of these prior posts and videos pinned at the top of our page. If you're on my YouTube channel, I do have a playlist there as well with every video that you can view. Now today it's Wednesday, it's hump day, we're halfway there, it's almost the weekend, and we're talking Wednesday and planet Mercury with the overarching energy of expression. So now Wednesday was named Woden's Day in reference to the deity Woden or Odin, but perhaps most commonly associated because it is ruled by the planet Mercury with Mercury, the Roman god, or Hermes, the Greek god. And we're going to dip into that information in a second. So the stones that are affiliated with Wednesday are green nephrite, jade, turquoise, amazonite, blue topaz, chrysocolla, and carnelian. And the energy archetype is that of the trickster, the scientist, the inventor, and all things health related as well. So when we take a look at Mercury, Roman god Mercury, for open communication, the oracle is speaking to us today with guidance to get a weight off your chest, to speak up with love and be heard. So dipping into this energy of Mercury, the Roman god of messages and communication, we're reminded that in Greek mythology, he is known as Hermes and has often been depicted with wings on his feet, representing his capacity to be swift, as well as carrying a caduceus, the same healing wand that Archangel Raphael is known to carry as the Archangel of Healing. So as well as overseeing communication, he oversees the planet Mercury. And we all know when Mercury goes retrograde, that means it appears to go backwards when seen from the Earth, which can cause communications to be delayed or difficult. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But we can call on Mercury for help with loving, honest, and open conversations, divination, and any form of expressive arts such as writing, poetry, journalism. If you're someone who has to communicate a lot for your job or in business, or, if you are in any of those expressive arts, you can call on Mercury for assistance in those areas. But he can also help us to heal miscommunications that have caused distress. And that's where this message really hit home for me. And I have several people I know who will be listening to this message who will probably be nodding along as well. It's pretty uncanny how this has popped up. So this message is saying, open all levels of communication now. Important messages, information, and insights are being shared. So you may even hear from an old friend or a family member, or have an opportunity to finally understand a loved one that you've not had an easy time with. You may be able to clarify situations where you feel you weren't heard properly or misunderstood. And there's an opportunity as well to get things off your chest in a loving way so that you can clear all the roads to love in your life. And there's a message here to be sure that you're listening too, because communication is a two-way street. So we're not just thinking about our response. We're not just talking about what we have to say, but also listening and really putting ourselves, looking through a lens to understand perhaps a wider perspective of where the other party could be coming from as well. And I'm kind of getting, the sense of the reminder that is so important and often such a skipped step. Often when we feel misunderstood, when we feel like we're not being heard, it can have to do with the fact that, for the most part, people can tend to walk around a lot with a bit of tunnel vision, and sort of seeing things through a very self-centered lens, because that's what's happening in their orbit. And so we can misinterpret other people's words and actions as something very personal, or we can feel very slighted. And it's just a little reminder for us to stop and take a look at, the big picture and recognize that if you happen to be somebody who makes it a point to do that regularly, just to remember that not everybody does that, So sometimes you feel like you're coming more than halfway and you just can't understand why there's this communication breakdown. And oftentimes tunnel vision is behind the curtain there. So that was coming up too when it comes to really being able to open up those lines of communication. It starts with you. So now tuning into the god Mercury and the planet Mercury, Mercury further symbolizes our mental switchboard. It's about how we think, communicate, and move through the world. A couple of fun facts about the planet Mercury. It is the smallest planet, and it rules Gemini and Virgo and is closest to the sun. So it completes its orbit in just about 88 days, 88 Earth days. Because it actually takes 58 Earth days for one day on planet Mercury, which was kind of crazy. Mercury retrograde 3 times a year for 3 weeks. So it slows time down so that we have an opportunity to remember, review, and reflect. So all the hype that goes along with Mercury retrograde, it does have to do with disruptions and delays and slowing down of time, communication, and also the electrical aspects that Mercury rules as well. I'll talk about those in a second, because first we're going to check out the Mercury challenges. And the Mercury challenges are about when a quick mind is not connected to the heart, it can cause trouble. So again, racing thoughts, pouring out with no filter, not going through the heart, trouble can ensue. Watch out for that busy hamster wheel of the mind, any type of shallow thinking or scattered, dishonest, or glib approaches. Mistakes can be made when we're in a rush. And we heard that yesterday too about, busting out their, guns blazing to take action and potentially tripping over those fast feet. So that's one of the challenge aspects to keep in mind when it comes to Mercury energy. Now, one of the gifts of Mercury is Mercury was the messenger of the gods. So listen deeply to the messages of your soul, which is the conduit to spirit, and become the messenger. Now, this brings in for me those spiritual breadcrumbs. When we follow those breadcrumbs, those little pings, those little hits that we get, the more we follow, the more we find, the louder and clearer they get. So you can really streamline and hone your ability to communicate very clearly and very authentically with the universe and with all. And again, as always, it comes back to coming from a loving place. Now, the Mercury action is communicate. The mood of Mercury is quick, fast, and cerebral. So we're very much in those upper chakras. Look at your situation from many different sides. There goes all of the different lenses and perspectives. Be light on your feet and make sure you have all the information you need. And if not, be ready to research, investigate, translate, mediate, check your facts, and learn. So when you're feeling delays, disruptions, challenges in communication, these are a couple of best practices for you to sort of sort through and get more clarity. There's additional guidance to follow up on all lines of communication to make sure that others understand what you said and that you understand what they intended. Again, huge cause of misunderstandings is written communication, text, messages, emails. They all can be easily misconstrued. So sometimes we just have to stop, collaborate, listen, take a look, go back over, make sure you understand and that it was really clear. Check those different lenses. Now, in areas of publishing, broadcasts, networking, social media, again, those are all things that could be very active today on Wednesday with all this Mercury energy. The guidance is to make that call, submit that resume, send that manuscript, whatever it is that you've been waiting to get out there. This is a good day for all of those things. Check all that Mercury ruled equipment. That's what I was saying about Mercury retrograde. Oftentimes when Mercury is in retrograde, it can affect vehicles, communication electronics, proofread and back up your files. Those are all best practices. Now we make our way to the cosmic oracle message, and it couldn't be more perfect. It actually kind of blew me away how it tied in here. Ask wonderfully and receive graciously. So, ask and you shall receive. We have this message coming forward that you have to ask. Put it out there into the universe, right? So it says, congratulations, you are ready to fully receive exactly what you want, but only if you ask. Too many of us are stuck in this habit of giving and being of service, but that's only one half of that infinite dance. We must allow others to experience the joy of giving and serving us as well. So there's that reciprocal need of give and take. And so there's a nod here to it being time to ask. Ask wonderfully and receive graciously. Make no assumptions, right? Know that what you receive will be multiplied 1,000-fold. And just imagine that the entire world was created to fulfill exactly what you need. So it says, when you ask with cheerful expectancy and you're in alignment with your highest purpose, life is like a room service menu awaiting your delivery instructions. You just need to ask. So again, it underscores how important it is for us to be communicating and expressing ourselves clearly. And even if we think that they ought to already know what we want, ask again. Be clear, be gracious, come from a place of love, right? So the cosmic catalyst is, what is my highest desire right now? And how can I joyfully ask for it? So that's the springboard to kind of come from with, what is it that I desire and how can I ask for it? The cosmic checkbox says, ask wisely, ask whimsically, and ask often today. See how it feels and what happens. Experiment without attachment to any request. So all you can do is ask, what's the worst thing that could happen? ... Just ask. So we're really being pushed to communicate and express ourselves. Again, I say, with love. So that's pretty cool. I love how that all wove together to kind of put a lovely punctuation mark on this series. This is a wrap. We've reached the end. I want to thank you so much for joining me. I have loved all of your feedback. If you enjoyed this series, if you're interested in other topics, if there's other things that you would like to see on a more frequent daily or regular basis, I would love to hear in the comments what you're interested in, because I'm thinking about what could be next. Now, as for the rest of this week, we're looking at gearing up to that full moon in Virgo on Friday. Those energies are already streaming in, and it's going to be our last full moon of the astrological year. We're just on the brink of Aries season and the spring equinox. So this is a huge full moon for releasing, for balancing everything in the areas of our health, our physical wellness, dealing through any kind of blockages and barriers that we've had with taking action. There's a lot of good stuff mounting with this full moon. So we're going to be talking about that tomorrow over in the Majestic Living Designs Facebook group for Thriving Thursday. So that's what's coming up next. But in the meantime, I would love to hear your feedback on anything else that you would love to explore. I'm really interested to hear what everyone would like to see next. So I want to thank you again so much for joining me. I am sending you all so much love and many blessings. Take good care.